help support our coverage using Blueberry, the community that gives creators the ability to make money, get detailed audience measurements, and host their audio and video. Get 30 days to try out the service using promo code Blueberry004. That's BLUBRRY004.
Welcome to the show, Mirko. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
This is a pretty incredible piece of technology.
Thank you
Let's
very
get
much.
into how you began developing it and why.
Absolutely. So basically, at the very, very beginning, making a little step backward, I was 9 years old when I started flying in general. So then I used my skills always only for myself, right? For making competitions, events, and always trying to achieve the world-class title. And once I was able to achieve that 3 times with the model helicopters for aerobatics,
Wow.
I decided together with Herbert to found a company which is fulfilling more the real need that we had, which is like trying to save people's life. And we are doing that already in Africa, but we want to expand and also do it in Europe and in USA as well.
Okay, well, let's get into your drone platform a little bit and exactly what its capabilities are.
So this one is basically a drone which is not like a conventional drone that lands on the ground, but our real asset of the company is mostly that we can have a Mailbox 2.0, we call it, which is a mailbox that we can connect on the window or on a balcony. And doctors in laboratories or hospitals, they just open the window, they just can load the package inside the drone, then they close the window and the job for the laboratory person is done. So the drone automatically charges there, then it can basically take off and go 100 kilometers, so 60 miles away, with the 2.4 kilograms or 5 pounds of payload, with
Wow.
medicine, blood sample, everything that the laboratory needs to transport in an urgent way. And it lands in the same mailbox in the other laboratory or window, and the other doctor or nurse can pick the parcel there.
That is incredible. And when you're talking about expanses, especially like Africa, things like that, where there isn't help around every corner, you know, that is really awesome. What birthed the idea for this technology?
It was 3 years ago, and unofficially it was 4 years ago. There was 1 year of like development to see if the idea was actually working out, because me and Herbert, we were both not sure if this kind of configuration which we had to patent was really working or not. So to complete it, not transition the drone from a vertical flight to a horizontal flight in this way with a weird configuration of the motors. So we have horizontal motors plus vertical motors configuration.
Interesting. And how did your knowledge of helicopters help build this?
Yeah, that's a great question actually. So it was very critical at the beginning because as it's a patent system, we didn't know how it was going to work. So at the beginning, it was flying really weird. So I had to, with my skills with the remote control, always take over control in every different situations. So sometimes it was like 1 centimeter on the ground. A few times it was like flying inverted. So my aerobatic skills were needed in order to save the glider every single time.
Wow.
So that was the only way to make it happen, because usually it takes hours and days to really repair a drone every crash. And we didn't have, at the very beginning, like the fund and the possibility to do that. So the only way was really trying to save every single glider. So with that being said, we were able to save probably 1,000 planes at the very beginning, which brought us to the point that the software now is like better than myself. So I don't need to fly anymore. It's completely autonomous, and it's like doing a better job than I do.
How do you feel about that? As somebody who spent their life perfecting the skill like
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, it's amazing to see like the piece of tech that we have been developing is able to take over also my piloting skills when it comes to like flying behind line of sight, as well as like when there's a lot of wind, is really able to, like an airliner, right? Is controlling the perfect attitude in a way that by sight I could not do that. So I'm really feeling that at the beginning was really needed, but now the software, like the integration also of the artificial intelligence possibility and everything that we are seeing here at CES as well, I think it's like going in an amazing direction, which will become really cool.
Well, let's start getting into the AI of it real quick, because of course, you know, leveraging the world of AI with something like this to help find the fastest routes back and forth, help you know, identify trouble areas for weather, things like that. How are you leveraging AI to train this drone?
I think that this is a very interesting point, because we believe a lot into the glider design that we are having in this drone. So it's not really a drone, it's not a plane, it's a bit of a, we call it like bird, because it's a kind of bird system, because we are landing like on a window like a bird would do. And the AI for the future, I think, is going to be very interesting, because as every glider, when you're flying, the pilot is feeling like the thermals. So he always needs to understand where to go to get some more lift.
Yeah.
And in order to get a longer range when it comes to distance, getting these thermals is going to be very important, because we can save battery and like enlarge our routes to like many more kilometers.
Sure.
So that's what we are aiming actually for.
Well, and I mean, even incorporating things like thermal sensors, stuff like that, they're it's so small, so portable now. Like you could have it absolutely find the thermoclines before it ever gets there.
Absolutely.
So that's pretty remarkable. Now, what other applications are you guys looking at?
At the moment, we want to focus on the medical mostly. So we are fully on the medical sector just because it's a market which really needs urgent deliveries. And at that point, there is also, we are basing ourselves on cost per kilometer to be cheaper than a car, because nowadays we also consider that in 5 years it will not be anymore like now. Now we have like a 2-ton car which is moving like literally 1 kilo or 2 kilo payload, and the pollution that it generates, the CO2 emission that it has, and also the fact that one person needs to be in a car the whole time driving back and forth. This person could definitely be in an office, like making a much, let's say, more comfortable job, being in front of a computer, managing multiple drones and making many more deliveries. So we really see this possibility within the next years to do a lot of flights, a lot of deliveries with much less workload and much less CO2 emission.
Now, how long have you been developing the glider so far?
4 years in total. And
wow.
3 years was the company we opened 3 years ago.
That is a pretty quick turnaround for something that is so proprietary. Now, what kind of technology did you leverage to kind of start off?
I think at the beginning, I would also start by saying that what is extremely important besides the technology is like the people behind the software, the whole software and hardware development. And what we did is hiring really passionate people. So every person in our company is really, if he's not working, he's still doing the same job but at home for fun. So bringing this kind of person in the company, you create an environment which is really, they're really more than happy to bring in new ideas and new way of working. So the development has been, I would say, twice as fast as it usually is in other companies, I think, when you just have a normal hiring process. So we worked mostly on that, and as well as in the technology, we are not outsourcing too much. We are mostly doing most of the things in Switzerland ourselves. So we, of course, are buying some motors and flight controllers, but mostly we are building all the hardware and software in-house in order to be very fast. So whenever we see a need of a change somewhere, we are very fast and quick on reprinting, remolding, or reproducing the pieces for us, and we can be very, very efficient in that way.
What is your typical production time for one?
I would say we have two companies. One is in Switzerland, is the headquarter. Then we have the daughter company in Africa, where we are doing the building, but also operations and deliveries, because there's where we started. And in Africa, they're really, really efficient. They are now with 12 people making 1 drone a week. And if they speed up a little bit the process, we can also do 2 drones per week by splitting into the chain. So we have the chain that is like modular. We can do like the whole team is working on 1 drone, or the whole team is working on 2 drones. So I would say in 1 week we can do from 1 to 2 drones.
Wow, that's pretty incredible, especially for something so specialized. Now, when it comes to entry point, when it comes to a hospital getting into something, what kind of price tag are they looking at to get into this pretty amazing delivery system?
I think for us that's also an interesting point, because we don't start with like a huge price tag or a specific price tag. We are mostly looking at the price per kilometer of the car, and from that point we are just cheaper than that. And we are confident by scaling up we are able to use this service. They have, of course, like a minimum kilometers they have to do per month, but usually we are just a little bit cheaper than a car. So for every hospital and laboratory, it's also easy to say, let's give it a try. Because whenever we start that, usually what happens so far is that they keep the service and they try to replace also the car with the drone, because it's a win-win. It's faster and it's a bit cheaper.
Well, I mean, you're not having to pay maintenance on a vehicle. You're not having to pay
insurances,
a driver, insurance, fuel costs, all that stuff. So I can imagine that would ring as a return on investment pretty quick. Pretty quick. Where can people go to find out more about the Jedsy and more about your product?
I think the best is Jedsy.com, our website, and we are more than happy to receive emails there and to talk. Also have video calls, and we are very open to any opportunity that it can come.
This is absolutely amazing and something so necessary out there. When it comes to drone technology, this is incredible, and a great leveraging of it for the good of mankind.
Yeah,
thank
you very much. Really, thank you so much for having me here. Really pleased about that.
Most definitely. It's an amazing product. I cannot wait to see it in use out there.
Perfect. Thanks for the opportunity.
You bet.
Thank you.
The Tech Podcast Network CES 2024 coverage is executive produced by Michelle Mendez. Technical directors are Kurt Corliss and Adam Barker. Associate producers are Nancy Ertz, Clinton Millsap, Sergio Velasquez, and Terry Willingham. Voiceover by Aaron Hurst. Our hosts are Marlo Anderson, Don Bain, Todd Cochran, Scott Ertz, and Christopher Jordan. Studio and equipment are provided by PLUGHITZ Productions. This has been a Tech Podcast Network broadcast, copyright 2024.